Hi, I'm Shoestring Jane. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things thrifty, frugal and sustainable. And today I thought I would show you a few slightly off the wall ways that I save money, slightly weird bits of frugality. If you think Vinted is just for second-hand clothing bargains, think again, because I often buy toiletries and makeup that I think are other people's mistake purchases. Maybe they've impulse purchased them and not used them, or they've been gifted things. So I often buy my foundation. I'll normally go and look there because it tends to be cheaper. And I bought this set. I actually only wanted the moisturizers, but you know, I'll use the cleanser at some point. And I bought these 3 things for £20 on Vinted, and at the time the cheapest I could find them was £35 altogether. And just the individual moisturizers that I wanted were more than £20. So you have to bear in mind with Vinted is that you have this ridiculous buyer protection fee, which is ridiculous because you are protected by UK law anyway. But I think it's another little con, and postage to factor in. But I had postage if I'd bought this online as well, so wherever I'd bought it from. So for me, that was a real bargain. So that's my number one slightly weird and wonderful thing, is that I look on Vinted and other places and consider secondhand, if you like, but unused toiletries and makeup. Another really small thing that you can do, and I've got a fancy reusable razor, but you can do this even with disposable razors, is when you've finished shaving, rinse and dry your razor. It literally takes you 10 seconds and it makes the razor makes the blades last just so much longer. And if you really wanted to keep them going even longer, you could wipe a little tiny bit of Vaseline along the blades when you finish cleaning and drying your razor, because that will stop them rusting. So a tiny little thing takes no time but really makes a difference. In an age of fast fashion, it's very easy to just discard jumpers and other clothing that's become a bit kind of bobbly. I mean, that's the only one I could find actually. This is my Christmas jumper. I couldn't find anything because I tend to do this as I go along, but investing in one of these is really good, a debobbler or fabric shaver. This Philips one, I've had 2 of these over about 10 years and they are the best. They've lasted a long time. I think they're really quite reasonable, about £18 I think. And if you wear a lot of woolen things, it's not even woolen things, I've done coats with these, so anything really. They're very, very easy to use. And they really make your clothes look good again. And this is only a cheap jumper from Lidl, so it's probably never going to look that good. But, it makes such a difference. I had a Joe Brown's coat that I picked up second hand from somewhere, I can't remember where now, and it was covered in bobbles, but it was really lovely, and I used a fabric shaver on it and it came out absolutely beautifully. So yeah, look after your clothing and invest in a fabric shaver. You can spend a lot of money buying all sorts of things to remove stains from clothing and fabrics, but honestly this works as well as anything else I've found. And you can see I've had it for a while. It's a bit grubby, it's got a few hairs stuck in it. But this Vanish Stain Bar, cheap as chips, lasts forever and only comes in a tiny little plastic tray, so it's quite eco-friendly too. Failing that, I leave that to soak for a bit. I rub that on the stain, and if I really can't get it out, then I'll go back to using a fabric stain remover. But the thing is, I don't give up on clothes and fabrics. I just don't think, oh, chuck them in the rags or chuck them in the bin or whatever if they've got a stain on them. Between them, these 2 will get stains off most things and keep your clothing and your fabrics looking really good for a lot longer. Something else that saves quite a bit of money and a lot of waste as well, because these batteries are full of all sorts of nasty chemicals, is my little battery charger. This one actually fits AAA as well as a AA. You can get bigger ones, it depends what you use, isn't it? These are the ones I tend to use most of. So rather than buying batteries constantly, particularly as you're coming up to Christmas, how about a recharger, some rechargeable batteries? Buy lots of them as well, so you can keep them in things like your TV remotes and things like that and the kids' toys. And that will ultimately save you quite a lot of money because batteries are quite expensive, aren't they? So I've gone back to this cheaper way of snacking, cheaper and healthier, less processed, less packaging, super, super, super cheap. I just use a packet of popcorn and a tiny amount of it as well to make each popcorn. And I love a bit of melted butter and some salt on mine. Easy peasy, very delicious. So boot sales aren't just for my vintage bargains. So it turns out they're a good place to buy your Millicano, which I've stopped buying because it's too expensive. But I got, although it's £3 each, I got 2 for a fiver in date. And these were £1 each, and these are about £2.75 or something around at the local co-op. So that's a good deal, isn't it? If you're a gardener, how about trying saving some seeds? So I pulled off, once they were dried, some seeds from a beautiful delphinium plant that we had in the garden. And I let them dry on the plants, and then I shook them off into an envelope, and as you can see, I've labelled them. So next year I'll be able to plant some delphinium seeds for free, and you can do that with all sorts of things. This might feel a bit mean, but it does make the juice go further. And mostly none of us notice. Just top it up with water. I'm in my office. It's very sunny in here actually. I've got the sun blasting in my eyes, but I've come here to show you a couple of other things around gifting. So it is late August as I film this. I am already thinking about Christmas, maybe you are as well. And what I would say about gifting generally is, if you're on a tight budget, then just be a bit creative around it. You don't have to buy somebody the most expensive, most up-to-date things. You can buy them something quirky or kind of make things as well. Now, I am not the most artistic person, so when it comes to making presents, I am not a great talent, so I stick to easy things. So I'll show you what I'm planning to do. I picked up these really pretty glass mugs, and apparently you can put tea or coffee in these as well, although I don't know if I trust them. They're really lovely, aren't they? And they're new. They've all got their labels on. And they were 50p each at the boot sale. So I thought what I'd do for the girls for Christmas is I'd fill these with something. So, I mean, you can give me some ideas, but I'm thinking, sorry, the sun's very much on them, isn't it? I'm thinking I could fill these up with chocolates, marshmallows, hot chocolate type extravaganza so that they can make their own hot chocolates, or I could fill them with sweets. Or maybe I could fill them with little toiletries, so maybe some makeup remover pads, some nail files, little things that don't cost a lot but would look nice presented in a little pretty glass like that. Maybe some little miniatures of alcohol, all sorts of things. So, you know, if you needed to buy perhaps a Secret Santa for somebody, or just a little stocking filler, or just a little token, you can make something up like that really quite inexpensively, and it looks like you've made a bit of effort, and it's really pretty. And still on gifting, I'm going to just move out of the sun though because it's very sunny. Let's move back a bit. I picked this up. Becky spotted it first actually. It's a vintage game from the 80s, a Wicked Willy game. I remember this. If you're of a certain vintage like me, you'll remember Wicked Willy. It's quite naughty, very funny, pretty harmless. So how about a funny vintage game for somebody, or you can get them a vintage puzzle or a couple of vintage puzzles if they're puzzlers. I would make a point of doing them to make sure all the pieces are there first, but this I'm actually going to keep for when we meet up at Christmas because I thought it'd be a fun thing to have on the table to play. It's very rude, but also, as I say, pretty harmless. That's 10 things, but while I'm in my office, I'm just going to show you another little thing that I do is just save envelopes. So any envelopes that I come across, quite often you get these kind of envelopes that come with, I know, your bank statement or something. This one came with the Centre for Alternative Technology. So if I need an envelope, I can just use this one, put a label over it, and it's good to go. I've got one from Home Serve Customer Service. They was trying to make me sign up to do Home Serve, which I'm never going to do. So things like that, just keep them. Keep them when I want an envelope. I don't think I've bought an envelope for a long time. I keep them from birthday cards as well. That was one to me, a nice big one. I can reuse, put a label over it. Very tiny saving, but it's all also about sustainability for me. I like to reuse things rather than just stick them straight in the recycling. So another little tiny frugal hack that might be useful to do. So I hope you enjoyed my ideas for frugal hacks that probably won't save you millions of pounds, but at the same time, every little counts. It all adds up, and I think it adds towards a more sustainable lifestyle overall as well, most of those frugal hacks. If you've got any others you'd like to add, then please put them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd like to see what you have to say. And if you enjoyed this video, give me the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. It really helps my channel. My next video will be answering your questions. So I did ask on the community page a while back if any of you had any questions, because I was going to do my first ever Q&A. There's still time to ask me a question if you want to. You can do that in the comments below, or you can go to my community page and add to that thread, because I've got a few days before I'll be making that video. So let me know if there's any questions that you've always burned to ask me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you Wednesday for my frugal kitchen. Bye for now.